What's up, Rockstars? Today we're going to talk about a little bit of drama in the board game space. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to be talking about just a few little things here. None of it is actually too terrible per se. This isn't necessarily a rant video, but it is some controversial things I'd like to talk about, if that makes sense. So the first one being Mythic Games having an end of summer sale, 15% off on their web store. If you didn't know what that is these 15% off, which is nice. If you're wanting to get a Mythic Games game, this is definitely one of the times to do it. Now, this coincides with closing the Anastasia Pledge Manager at the end of October, and so that'll be closing here soon also. Them delivering the Darkest Dungeon Wave 1, and then, or at least to the people who paid. And then I guess we're going to see from there. I don't know. It's still kind of up in the air. They've kind of stopped communicating a lot. They don't really do the live streams anymore, and they're just kind of all heads down, hunkered down. I don't know if that's because they're being a little shy, because it's a little awkward, or because they're actually just super busy and swamped with a skeleton crew of employees, or what. I don't know. But I do know that a flash sale, something like this, in a situation like this for a company, is definitely to drive up money, right? I don't know if they've ever done this before at the end of summer. Maybe they have, and I just didn't catch it. But I think this might be their first ever end of summer sale, and it's really just an excuse to move some product, which I'm sure they're wanting to do. So if you have been on the lookout for it, probably now's a good time to get it. But I do hope that this isn't caused by some other large need. Same with the Anastasia thing. I'm wondering if they're closing that, because it seems early to close that. Because I thought Hell was before that, but I don't know. Anyway, it just seems like it's really early, but I think they're just wanting people to finally lock in their stuff. Like, I haven't finished my Anastasia pledge, so I haven't committed to it yet. Well, I mean, I did on the pledge manager, so they have like 160 of my dollars or something like that, but I haven't added anything else yet, and so I'm wondering if it's a prompt to people like me that have been kind of holding back on that. Not sure. Either way, I'll let you know what Darkest Dungeon is like, so I'll be sure to tell you that, so you'll at least have that. But yeah, kind of a little awkward-ish. And notice at least here, this is the image I have. I didn't even see where they posted this. I think it was in an email. I don't have a date range here either, and they didn't put it on the image, which is kind of odd too. But yeah, it'll be linked down in the description below, I guess. Let me know your thoughts, though. Do you think this is like an act of desperation? Do you think it's a kind of an attempt to get something? Like, what do you think's going on here? All right, next up we have an update. This is actually from Archon Studio. They had the Masters Universe UK version with the Fields of Eternia, the European version. I think it was much more than just UK. I think it was like pretty much all of Europe. But anyway, they had made a post saying that this dice tower was going to be lower than 20 centimeters, alongside announcing the expansions being available in retail. Now, I didn't really get a good excuse about that, but this is actually the CEO of Archon Studio. They do a very informative live stream. I'll walk you through this a little bit. A very informative live stream quite often around stuff like this. This is their 8th AMA that they do, and they kind of put these slides together and stuff like this, these images you can look at to kind of get stuff. What he was saying is it was a communication error as they worked on their internal tools to be able to accommodate the 20 centimeters, but it will be the 20 centimeters is what he said. He just said that it was a miscommunication within the team, and he apologized for that. I wish there was this is the same issue that happened with Mythic Games, where they would say this stuff in these videos, but only 765 people watched this video. So unless I hear about it and then I cover it and share it to much more than 758 people, people don't hear. They don't know. Because if you go to their page, it's not really posted anymore. They didn't edit the update. They said, I think, that they couldn't on GameFound. I think they might be able to actually, but either way, like it's just kind of messy. I would have even done a little update to be like, oh, hey, FYI guys, we were wrong about that. It's actually 20 centimeters. Instead of just having people upset. And sadly, this is kind of in a long string of missteps that they've had recently, which is unfortunate because they've been doing very, very well. But they changed the scaling between the Battlefield, or I believe it's called the Masters of the Universe skirmish game they have, plus this one, so that it's not quite an apples to apples comparison on that. And then of course the early mounted heroes that they did means it's a little bit different scale there, so a little messy there. Plus the add-ons versus expansions of retail availability, that was miscommunicated very poorly. So that's really unfortunate. But there is, I think, a good thing that we can cover from here. So first of all, they're very transparent on having an actual like schedule and telling you what's coming up. This is so big. They're not trying to hype anything. In fact, they purposely say not yet announced, right? So you know something's coming, but you don't know exactly what. They're not trying to hype it. That's important. You have to kind of marry the two, right? Because we want to build it. Think of Senkokushin, for instance, which I'll be having a video about that shortly for you guys, so you guys can get up to date on it. But like they built all this hype up, but it was too soon, and so now it's kind of deflating a little bit. At least it is for me. Like, you let me know. Are you deflating a little bit on Senko compared to whatever high you were at? Maybe you weren't at all, but I was, and it's kind of limped out a little bit towards the end, but it's because you can't sustain that, so you kind of have to release there. So a lot of companies just don't say anything at all, but it's very helpful for us consumers to be able to plan ahead our budget and say like, hey, you know what? I'm going to skip everything in Q2 because I want to go all in on this. I want to make sure I get that, right? And so that's why those kind of far out dates are still kind of helpful. So you can see their support, plus further supporting the thing, that's cool too. But anyway, I do like that. I appreciate that. I think that's great. But what I really wanted to talk about was at the very end here. I think it's like right around here. He doesn't actually show it. He's just talking at the end. This is like his last slide. But one of the things he mentions is that Archon Studio might leave crowdfunding, and that's a good thing. So I guess let me talk about that a little bit. They are already pulling back. They're suggesting that they're going to be doing 1 or 2 at most campaigns at crowdfunding at on Kickstarters or GameFound or wherever they might choose to do their business at. And that's it. And eventually might even leave it entirely. And what he's talking about is specifically, and he won't name the company or companies, right? He's like, you guys know who I'm talking about, but he's very much referring to stuff like Mythic Games, where these companies that were so dependent on only doing Kickstarter, having all their eggs in a basket, that once that deflated, that really hurt them. By comparison, on YouTube, a lot of people got hurt when Logan Paul filmed the Suicide Forest on YouTube, and it made advertisers scared to death to advertise, and it kind of steamrolled into this big fiasco. And if you relied on just your ad revenue for YouTube, you were suddenly in a Mythic Game situation. You were suddenly very hurt, in a very bad situation. This whole increased costs and shipping and stuff like that, and constantly trying to be ahead and eventually tripping, and that one trip losing you the race, is happening to a lot of companies. And that's because their whole thing was that race, was crowdfunding, right? It happened to Peterson Games, happened to Blacklist, happened here, and now they're seeking retail, right? Peterson Games is hoping, hey, maybe we'll sell some Cthulhu Wars at retail, and then we'll be able to do it. Or Mythic Games, hey, maybe if we release this, dice game, maybe then we'll be able to do it because it's at retail. Like, whereas companies that are already kind of pivoted towards retail are doing better. That's what Archon was doing already ahead of time. They're already established that, and they're even their own manufacturer. So they are in a very good position to not actually super need the crowdfunding space. To the point where it might not even be viable anymore. A lot of it is just making, there's business benefit to releasing something early and seeing what the buzz is and stuff like that. But it costs a lot to do it. It comes with a lot more responsibility, right? Because you have to make promises early and deal with updates and all that stuff. And you don't have to do that at all with retail. All of that cost of running a campaign, writing updates, keeping things up to date, making sure promises are fulfilled, all of that pretty much goes away when you just do retail. So that's kind of they're pivoting even more to that than they already have been, but they've been doing it for a while. And honestly, I think a lot of you would agree. Let me know in the comments below what you think on this. I think a lot of you would say that's exactly what Kickstarter is for. That is, the crowdfunding space is not just to permanently make an entire business off of only doing crowdfunding. It's to jumpstart your company or your product to where then you don't need crowdfunding anymore and can operate like a normal business. It's that upfront fee to make something possible. But after that, you should be running an efficient enough business to where you can reciprocate that over and over and over again, right? I think that's kind of the idea that a lot of us have in our heads. And so that's truly what they're doing. But it also means that they're leaving it behind. And, I just did a video talking about how great Tainted Grail is at, and Awakened Realm is on GameFound. They have their own thing. Now, they own that platform, so it makes sense for them to do that. It's kind of like a Hasbro Pulse kind of thing. And that's sense for them, where, like their sister company literally is that. So, they may have more incentive to do that. But either way, it's one of those things where, there are companies doing well. But then there are also other companies that, have really struggled and been hit hard. So I think it's a good move. I am kind of sad about it though, because I've loved being able to see them progress, and their games are getting really, really good. Like I really did enjoy Wolfenstein. So really happy to kind of see what comes. Oh, and their Masters of the Universe was actually really good. I enjoyed it a lot. So looking forward to Heroes of Might and Magic 3 that is coming. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'll be showing that off to you and letting you know what I think of the game. But either way, yeah, looking cool. Oh, in my next news video, I'll be covering the actual preview page. We're going to walk through it, see what's up. We're going to see it a lot more. Chip Theory Games has announced a sudden new campaign. Next month, October 18th, Solar Sentinels actually is the thing. It's 20 strong is the campaign or the game. And they're going to have Too Many Bones. They're going to have their Victorium, and they're going to have this new one called Solar Sentinels. What is it? It's a little card dice game, solo, but it could expand to not be solo, where you essentially buy the deck of cards and you're going through the deck of cards trying to beat it. It sounds a lot to me like a DC deck building game where you can play that solo, where you're just trying to beat the supervillains as the superhero, stuff like that, right? A very common kind of thing, Marvel Champions kind of stuff, right? Where it's like, I don't know if they're gonna have as many tokens as like a Marvel Champions thing. And again, right now it's only solo, but you get the deck of cards and you're just trying to go through it, and then at the end you fight a final boss. So that is the concept. It's very cheap. In fact, the price is going to be $30 for the core, $65 if you want to add the Too Many Bones set to it. Normally, they'll sell future expansions for $20 to $30 each, depending on how many cards are needed. Maybe something spawns a whole bunch of things, so there's more cards in that deck than something that isn't, right? So it'll be variable in the decks there. But they will be doing it in the web store. That being said, okay, we're going to talk about shipping here in a little bit, but it does worry me that there's a quick, we need another game. Because if you don't recall, I covered last time, Chip Theory Games lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, that's their words, not mine, in potential future sales for the holiday season because eStar goofed up yet again on a high-profile delivery and cost the company a whole bunch of money. They did with the Melted Soldier with Awakened Realms. They have now again here with Chip Theory Games, where they didn't pack it right, and so all 10,000 copies of their Victorium game is messed up now, and they need to go fix them. So it's going to take a long time to fix that, which means they will not be at market with a new product come the holiday season, which is costing them a ton of money. So suddenly the company that was expecting to get a whole bunch of money now doesn't. And now suddenly, just days later, they announce, hey, a surprise campaign we've never spoken about before. And again, it's the exact same thing that Mythic Games did when they, oh crap, Anasir didn't fund super well. Well, hey, look, we have this retail game we're coming out. It's this little dice game. It's these little games that they can just kind of pump out there super quick. That's exactly what it's for. So that worries me a little bit, of course, because I want it to be good and I want it to be a good experience, and I worry either it's not developed enough or it's too rushed. I just want to make sure it's not rushed. I have faith in them. I think they'll do right, but it is a worry. Shipping though is free. Free. You don't have to pay anything. It does not cost them such a significant amount to send a box of cards that they need to even charge you for it. They can include it in that price. Let that sink in. Guys, I'd love to discuss that with you down in the comments below. Go ahead and let me know what you think about any of this or anything I might have missed. And as always, have a great rest of your day. Take care, guys.